Welcome to Mic Check Mania. I'm Xavier Soller,
I'm Justin Stuckey.
and we have an absolute legend on the show. He's a WWE Hall of Famer, multi-time world champion, and one of the most dominant forces to ever step foot in the ring. But most importantly, he's a powerhouse, not only in the square circle, but he's a football player, an actor, and he's one of the most badass individuals you're ever going to meet. Ladies and
I'm a
gentlemen,
dad.
please welcome Bill Goldberg.
He's
Thank you for
also a Pops. Goldberg is in the building.
Thank you for that intro, guys. I've been introed 3 different times today, and I'd say that's probably the best by far.
There we go.
We aim
I'm very
to please.
appreciative.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
To give our audience kind of a background, I had the pleasure of meeting you at Colorado. Prime time, under the lights, getting to see the Buffaloes do their thing. And obviously you weren't there to meet me. You were there to watch your son. So to kick this thing off, what was it like being able to see your son playing at the Division I level, but also being coached by your former teammate?
That's a loaded question because he really hasn't played that much yet, and the first 2 games, I think he got as much pub as Shadur did, right? Because before the games, they did a special on Gage Goldberg and his dad and, all this, and they showed him on the sidelines stretching and everything. And then, the game goes on and he doesn't get to play. But the kid's an 18-year-old freshman, right? He's a true freshman. Or now he's not. He's a redshirt freshman. But man, it's a long story, his journey. I mean, he was a baseball player. He was a kid that I didn't let play football until he was in 9th grade. I didn't play till I was in 9th grade. I didn't think that it was time for him to play prior to that, and to be able to kind of fast forward, he was a baseball player up until his, he was thinking baseball and football, right, prior to his senior year. And we all know, as former athletes, you can't, if you want to go on, it's kind of hard unless you're a Travis Hunter or unless you're a Deion Sanders, to be able to juggle 2 sports and then right at the last second make a decision as to which one you're going to follow, and then still have the ability to go to, the higher up schools, right? So he played baseball until 3 days before his football camp started, right? So he never was able to go to any football camps and get rated and do the whatever it is, and 3-star, 10-star, whatever the heck it is. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, it's an absolute honor and a privilege to have Gage on the field at a Division I or Division 10 school, doesn't matter, playing for an ex-teammate of mine. It's a true honor.
So right
Now with that, how did you have that discussion with him about that name that goes on the back of that jersey and what kind of pressure that might come being an athlete of, a superstar?
It sucks. I'm not a superstar by any means. I greatly appreciate that. I've attained some things in my life that others haven't, and I've never reached the heights that I've ever wanted to reach. But I did okay in a couple areas, but I put him in the Muay Thai ring, kickboxing ring, when he was 5 years old, so that he'd learn how to protect himself.
Dang.
And how to put people in their place if they ever came at him because of his name or any other reason, right? And so he was in an individual sport before I let him play the team sport, and then I let him play football once he understood the ramifications of having Goldberg on the back of your jersey. He got ear holed and all kind of chop blocked and cracked back stuff in high school. And I mean, I'm surprised I'm still here and not in jail, because a couple of them were pretty blatant. But you got to grow up, you got to own it, and you got to take care of your own business. And he's learning that in Colorado. But the first off season, he wasn't there for winter ball and winter workouts like he is right now. I don't think he was even there for spring. No, he wasn't there for spring because he got there in June, or actually July. Mm-hmm. And so it's a different dynamic, man. It truly is. He's within the portal. That's a whole different conversation, right? So, I mean, high school kids nowadays don't have a chance in hell unless their athletic ability is top echelon to be able to come in and play. Like Deion says, I don't want freshmen that can't play. And Gage was not ready to play by any stretch of the imagination. Hell, the kid didn't even know what head across the bow meant, and playing linebacker, you know, you got to tackle properly. But nowadays, you know, safety is the big issue, but it's ironic that more people are probably getting hurt now than back in the day because they baby these guys. They don't go full speed.
Yep.
They don't, you know, do the off season. Like when I was with the Falcons, we'd practice against other teams and, you know, all throughout the camp. And it's just different. They don't hit 2 days in a row in the pros anymore, let alone in college. But so if it's really tough being the Goldberg and being behind the 8 ball and, you know, not being completely prepared when you get there because of certain circumstances beyond your control. But I mean, the kid just did 24 reps with 225 on the bench, man. I couldn't do that when I was freaking senior.
Combine him right now
at Georgia,
wow.
Right? You know, so I mean, the athletic level of all these kids has risen to a point where it's unreal. Excuse me. And there's so much pressure on them, and on top of that, there's so much pressure on Gage because he's younger. He's my son. Deion played with me, or I played with Deion. I carried Deion's bags half the time. I did willingly, you know. And it's a whole dynamic, man. It's really tough. It sucks sometimes because as a father, you live vicariously through your son and you know what he's going through because I've been through it. And, you know, he had a crappy day at practice. And we all have crappy days, whether it's a practice or anywhere else. But it's not about what happened earlier today or yesterday. It's about what happens tomorrow, right? And so you just gotta lift your head up. You got to get up off your ass and you got to stop feeling sorry. I'm not saying this is how it is, but this is, you know, how most people do it. They just feel sorry for themselves. And the fact is that you have a complete control. You have a lot of control over your destiny, no matter what endeavor you're embarking upon. And you know that more than anybody, right? And it's all in what you make of it, man. So I let it all fuel me, and it drives me to want to be better and bigger and stronger and meaner and more successful and whatever it is. But I love having a bad day because it just makes me want to work harder the next day.
That's what's up right there. You talk about the time when you were at Georgia to now. It's been such a drastic difference in college athletics. And we talked about it before we started this thing off, but NIL is the forefront of college athletics. Simply put, what are your thoughts on NIL?
Out of control. It's absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen because it's a fluid situation, and it seems as if it's defined daily, right? I mean, now it's probably different because I haven't really watched the rulings over the past 6 months, I guess. But I mean, I learned, I speak to it as it applies to my son. It's different. But I do believe that the kids need to be paid because look at the money generated from college football. Geez, Louise, it's crazy.
Big bags.
But it needs to be controlled, and it needs to, and there needs to be a course at every single school that these kids are getting paid on finance. There needs to be a course on every single school about the NIL specifically. You know, these kids need to know it upside and down. So it's done quite irresponsibly now, I believe. And, you know, granted, yeah, the Travis Hunters and the Shadurs should get, you know, I don't know how much money they should get. I think there should be a cap on it. I think not because Gage is at the bottom of it, because he's not. I mean, do you know that at one point during the year, there was a kicker that didn't even start that had the highest NIL on any team in college football?
That's
I
crazy.
did not know that.
I didn't know that.
It was because his video production was so good. The return on their investment was going to be so much more because they were guaranteed to get out there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know who the kid is, and it might have been a fable that I was told, but it kind of makes sense, you know.
So they factored in social media.
Everything, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a whole package now.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a weird thing. It truly is to be. I'm helping my son be his agent, right? In a lot of ways, and deals that I'm garnering right now, I'm throwing him in on it, or he may be throwing me in on it in some instances.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing. It's really weird. I just don't like it. I think the I think the way college football is going to be, the dilemma in college football, the way it's going to be solved is that Nick Saban should be the president of the NCAA.
Hey,
I mean, that's a far-fetched thing, but that's why we almost went to, we were pretty much committed to Alabama, right? And we were committed to Alabama, and then Gage goes to school that day, and boom, 2 hours later, Saban retires. And we were in his office 2 weeks before, and he offered Gage a preferred walk-on, and was talking him up, but he was getting on a plane and going to Washington to talk about NIL stuff, right? And I could tell at that point that he had had enough, because I'm old, right? And Barry Switzer and Coach Dooley and Jimmy Johnson, all those guys, they came to my house, and it was a whole different deal back in the day. And your recruiting is totally different, but it's out of control, man. And Nick is like, or Coach Saban, Coach Saban is like, yeah, that was pretty funny. Coach Saban
only you could do that, not us.
Yeah. Coach Saban was like, when I bring recruits and their parents to my house, the parents used to talk to my wife about certain family things, and now all they're asking about is how much money can my son get. And so it's a really crappy deal, man. It sucks. I hate it. I want him to get paid, but there has to be a lot of stringent rules on it, I believe. And it has to be fair, and it can't give the kids the entitlement that they feel sometimes. Hey, I look at Gage's linebacker coach, who's an old school Coach Hart, right? I love him to death. He was yelling at Gage at the Alamo Bowl, at the practice at UTSA, and I was there. And man, I thanked him afterwards, and everybody thought I wanted to kill him. And the fact is that these kids need that. They don't need to be coddled. They don't need to be babied, because you're negatively contributing to the delinquents of another generation. And, it's tough love, man. Yeah. These kids got to learn. They have to learn respect. It's not given. They have to learn, about putting in time. Back in the day, being initiated is now being bullied.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. I mean, these kids are coddled to a point where you can't even tell them anything anymore. So if you're a coach and you really love your job, and you're a college coach and you're there because, you really love the kids and you love to impart wisdom upon them, and you'd like to teach them how to be men. Well, you got freaking juniors, you got seniors coming in every year in the portal who think they know everything. You can't coach them. Now, I'm generalizing, right? I'm not saying everyone's like this, because they're not. But if you're a coach, do you want a young kid that you can cultivate and watch grow through the process, or do you want a guy that you tell him what to do and he looks at you like you've got another leg popping out of your head?
Yeah,
and just go, oh man, I'm getting paid $1 million a year. I ain't gotta listen to you. They ain't doing nothing with me.
Yeah,
it's like free. It's like NFL.
Sure.
It was like when I think I was there when the rookie salary cap changed, right? They lifted the rookie salary cap or the minimum, whatever it was. And man, these rookies were coming in. I played like 300 years ago, right, with the Rams, and there was a guy named Jackie Slater. And Jackie Slater was one of the baddest men ever in the history of the world on offensive line. Number 78. I don't know how many all-pro years he had, but he was the godfather. And Irv Pankey. And I mean, I played Daryl Hannah. I played with some old school dudes. And you got kids coming in with more of a say than an 18-year veteran that played on the offensive line. I mean, really? And you got owners that are scared to reprimand the kids, the fresh or the rookies, because they don't want to lose them. Just like now, right? I mean, if you look at a kid the wrong way, I'm going to jump in the portal.
Gone.
Come on, no accountability there. But there's so much you talk about, all the way from the power to social media. We talked a lot about college football. One thing I saw shout out to my guys at SEC Nation. We saw that on SEC Nation, you were face to face with my guy Tebow, and you announced that you're going to have your retirement match this year. So, flat out, who would Goldberg like to face in his retirement match?
Every single person who beat me during my tenure in the wrestling business. I don't. At the end of the day, it's not about who I'm facing. It's about me going out. It doesn't matter. I'd like for it to be somebody that I don't like to make it easier for me to get ready for the match.
Yeah.
But and I'd like to pass the torch in a way. Though I don't know who's going to want to take it. But at the end of the day, these guys they got a lot of superstars already. It's a different generations, couple of different generations.
Sure.
But Roman, it'd be nice to get my win back from Roman, considering it was my last match and I fought him when I had COVID with 4 weeks notice at 55 years or 57 or 6 years old or whatever it was. But all of that's an excuse. The fact is, truthfully, it really doesn't matter to me. As long as I'm able to go out and be me and have a little bit of that Goldberg back in him, because I got it. It's just will my body allow me to do it? I don't know if I'm going to be gorilla pressing any 300-pounders anymore at 58 years old, but I guarantee you, whoever I'm in the ring with is going to know they were in there with me. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
That I can promise.
Speaking of that intensity, what's the process like getting back into wrestling shape? And when you're working out, you're throwing the iron around, what's on Goldberg's playlist?
Man, I'm trying to find a good reggae station, to be perfectly honest with you.
Nice.
Old school reggae, man. It really gets me going. I'm an AC/DC guy. I'm an old school rock, hard rock. I don't like the death metal crap, yelling, screaming, banging your head thing. I just like something with a good beat, and something that I can just lose myself in and continue to just grind. The problem is that I'm not shrugging 700 or 800 pounds anymore, because I just got back from Colombia and got stem cell treatment, man. I got 15 shots in my spine, 4 in my knee, 4 in my shoulder. And I mean, it was a blessing to be able to go and get it done. And I'll be fully cleared a week from tomorrow. I've only been working out for a week. But I mean, I'll say it again. 75% of me is better than 99% of 99% of the people on the planet.
I know that's right.
That's a bar right there.
Yeah.
That's a bar
because a lot of it's here.
Yeah.
You know that. Man, to be successful, you got to have a strong mind, and you got to have good mentors, and you got to have good people to follow and who set good examples for you. I'm seeing one of my mentors this weekend, CT Fletcher, man. He's one of the baddest men on the planet with an unbelievable story. The guy behind you is one of my mentors, man. I got to meet and spend a lot of time with Ali before he passed. You're a product of the people that you meet and the people that you follow, and you take a little piece of them with you everywhere you go, and you try to impart knowledge upon other people along the way. And I got some bad dudes who are friends of mine, and they're going to help me. They're going to help me get ready. And I got Gage, he can already outlift me. So he can't out mentality me.
Yeah, it's a team effort for sure. And trying to take it back to when you first stepped into the ring, we're talking about your retirement, but going back to when you first stepped into the ring, you've been very vocal about how it was very uncomfortable for you to go from a football player on the gridiron to basically in your draws wrestling in a ring. How did you overcome not only your perception, but maybe even other people's perception of you, as they know you as this football player? Now you're in a wrestling ring in a whole different environment.
I got to study more Muay Thai or more martial arts, and I got to live out a dream by performing in front of millions of people by using my brain and studying old wrestling matches in Japan and old pancrase matches and old worked MMA fights in Japan. And I developed a style and developed a character And you know, it was a release. It kept me out of jail, man. I could spear people. I could do things to people that, man, I wanted to do walking down the street or wanted to do on the football field, right? But on the football field, you may get a flag. You ain't going to get thrown in jail. Well, where else can you do that kind of stuff? You can fight, but I was already banged up enough. I didn't want to fight, and they weren't making any money at the time. And so I followed, I can't say a dream because I never dreamed to become a professional wrestler. I mean, I never would have known I'd be playing in the Georgia Dome and then I'd be wrestling at the Georgia Dome, you know, years later. And a lot of my football fans are wrestling fans. It's kind of a common thread. And I was able to kick up the intensity even more, right? So for me, it was, again, the best wrestlers are extensions of themselves. Their character is an extension of themselves, just ramped up a little bit. Now, mine is not ramped up very much. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I can snap into that dude in like a millisecond. Somebody was parked on my lawn out in front and they were feeding our animals. And I snapped into that dude last night. And I snapped into that dude when I was shooting pigs on my property last night. But there's a time and a place for everything, right? Sure. And it just, wrestling truly gave me the ability to do things that I wasn't able to do without getting thrown in jail. And ultimately it put food in my, food in my belly, money in my pocket. And I was able to, most importantly, put smiles on kids' faces, man, which meant so much to me. I mean, I'd go out there and smash somebody and, get out of the ring and grab a baby and pick them up and make sure they had a good time. Right. And that for me was as exhilarating and as rewarding as the other was.
Now, was there a version of Goldberg that we didn't get to see that you wish might have made it on TV? Because you talked about, learning some moves and kind of working your way up. How many personas did you have to go through to find Goldberg, or was that just when you walked in?
That was me.
He was there, so he was
100%.
there.
Yeah, that was me. That's what I worked on. That's what because I'm very analytic, right? I was a psychology major. My dad was an obstetrician gynecologist. My mom played in the Chicago Philharmonic, and my brothers played at the University of Minnesota. So we're a pretty eclectic family. And MMA was the coolest thing in my book at the time, and it had just started as far as popularity in the States. And I'm like, if I can be like Mike Tyson in a way,
sure,
and be 300 pounds and do a back handspring and be able to sidekick a dude that's 6'5" in the head and know Russian Sambo and know some jujitsu and know some Greco-Roman wrestling and don't say anything for 6 months and just smash people, I'd say that's pretty entertaining. I mean, and I'm not saying that I know everything by any stretch, because I'm not a rocket scientist, but I thought if I enjoyed it, that other people would enjoy it.
Amen. Now, throughout that time, did you have, I'm sure you have a plethora of moments, but is there something that really stands out as your favorite wrestling moment?
Oh, 1,000%. It has to do with the jersey you're wearing. I wrestled Hulk Hogan in the middle of Monday Night Nitro, 45,000 people at the Georgia Dome that I played there in the first game as a Falcon. And I beat Hogan. And after we go off the air, they handcuffed me to the turnbuckle and beat the dog poop out of me. Yeah. And then here comes the Atlanta Falcons. And so for me, as a lifelong football player, and that will be on my grave, man, I always grew up to wanted to be those guys.
Sure.
Jesse Tuggle, Chuck Smith, Shane Dronette, Cornelius Bennett, Chuck Smith. I don't know if I said Chuck, but guys that, Pierce Holt, Tim Green, guys that made it, man. And guys that, again, that's all I ever wanted to do as a kid. That was it. I was born in a football helmet. The first picture taken of me was in a football helmet. It was my brother's high school helmet.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's all I ever wanted to do. And as I was sitting in the ring, I didn't care. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't care. It wasn't that I just beat Hulk Hogan in front of 45,000 people and won the strap for the first time.
Sure.
It was that I was watching the guys that I always wanted to be me for 5 minutes in the ring.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting back there. That was the coolest 5 minutes of my life. And then barring my son being born, marrying my wife, obviously.
Sure.
But man, as far as entertainment's concerned, nothing holds a candle to that. Nothing.
Nice.
It was awesome.
That's definitely a surreal moment, I bet, right there. And you talked about how just the talent within the ring has gotten so wide. Everybody's a superstar, and I'm sure you've seen this all over the news.
Not everybody by any stretch of imagination. Everybody's a carbon copy of somebody that came before them. They're not to interrupt you, but when I wrestled, a lot of people were superstars because they were the characters in real life. Therefore, they could take it kind of to a different level. And like they lived it, man. It was a different deal. When the Iron Sheik pulls a joint out and starts smoking it on a European flight,
oh wow,
those are just different days, man. These Andre the Giant, I wasn't around for this. These are stories, but I was around when there was some absolute freaks going on, man. These guys were, man, it was awesome. It was really cool, right? Like they weren't characters, they were the character. The character was them. They had to maybe tone it down sometimes to get in the ring. But nowadays, I just think it's different. It's not that people aren't superstars, but they sure don't grow on trees, and there aren't many of them comparatively, I think. But that's just my opinion.
I know you got a good Macho Man Randy Savage story.
No, I don't really. Macho came to WCW, and I don't have a good one, man. I wasn't lucky enough or fortunate enough to spend much time with it.
Oh, okay.
Well, this guy that I was about to bring up, I believe he's a bona fide superstar, and it's been in the news everywhere. What do you think about John Cena turning heel?
First and foremost, I'll say this for the third podcast time today. I've yet to get my hands around that dude's throat. It's ironic that I never wrestled Cena, right? I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. It's like when Hogan turned to NWO Hogan or whatever it was. I don't know what it was called.
Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah. That caught everybody by surprise, right? The eternal baby face turns into a heel, right? So the guy who does Make-A-Wish, who's got the record for 1,000 Make-A-Wishes, it caught everybody off guard, and the way they did it was really cool too. I heard about it because I don't watch it.
X?
The
Rock.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't watch it. I just know that the last time I watched it was when I was on the show with Gage, and we were in the crowd. So yeah, I don't.
Tell me about your thoughts on women's wrestling today. I mean, it's booming right now, and there are some phenomenal women wrestlers right now.
And there were phenomenal women wrestlers when I was wrestling. They just didn't get the credit. They didn't get the time.
That's what we've been saying.
And that's we've talked about that a few times on our podcast. And I'm just like, there was some absolute animals in the ring, but like you said, they didn't get their moment. But it looks like they're getting it now. And just what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome. I mean, it's about time, no question. Yeah. I'm not into the intergender wrestling matches because you can't show me a woman on the planet that could stand more than 3 seconds with me. I mean, it's like, we're going to cross the line here, but it's like having a woman in Buds or something, or Special Forces, right? I get that they can accomplish the standard to a certain degree, but if I'm in a 5-story building and it's burning, I don't want a girl coming up the stairs thinking that she's going to carry me down, right? So there's certain physical limitations, gender wise, that you have to be logical about. It's logic. It's not politics. It's logic, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I'm ecstatic for all of them that they're finally getting the credit that they deserve.
Amen.
For sure.
For sure, man. And we've talked about the women in the ring, but let's talk about the most important woman in your life. And I'm curious personally, because I'm single right now and I need a little bit of tips. Don't
ask me.
How did you decide that your wife was the one after only 3 months of dating?
The first time I looked in her eyes, literally, I mean, I was dressed as Santa Claus. She was doing stunts on the movie, and it was a very precarious situation that I'm not gonna. There's a donkey outside my window. That's awesome. A miniature donkey at that. Her name is Millie.
Shout out Millie.
Yeah, shout out to Millie.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm telling you, I was in a relationship. My wife was in a relationship. But I knew it instantly. I did. And I would have regretted it the rest of my life if I didn't ask her to go to dinner with me. I would have. And she had 3 rules. No professional athletes, no actors, and no stunt guys. Well, on that movie, I was all of them, right?
Sure.
And in life, I'm all of them, right? So that's pretty awesome, man. And she tricked me, and she's got a great sense of humor, and she's freaking tougher than nails. I did Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds and a plethora of other people. And first time I walked up to Burt, we talked for a minute, and I took off, and he goes, "Hey, Goldberg," when I walked off, and I turned around, and he goes, "You know what? I respected you before, but now that I know you're married to Brown Eyes, I got ultimate respect for you." Because she was in Lonesome Dove, and you're going to love the other donkey's name, Donkey Dinkus.
Donkey Dingus. Millie and Donkey Dingus.
Yeah.
That's a good transition into my next question, because
how could that transition to anything?
Listen, I'm the best at the segues. We talked on the phone last week, and you told me, "Oh, we're gonna see it
exclusive."
Is that Donkey Dingus or is that Millie? Oh, I see them both.
Dinkus. Millie's the small one.
Yeah.
And then Dinkus is the one in the back.
Dinkus is the one he's square. He's so fat he's square.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's awesome. He came with our property. They both did, actually. So anyway, sorry.
You just buy donkeys out here like that?
He got everything. This is
we got a zebra. We got kangaroos, man. We got everything. It's ridiculous.
There was a question I was going to ask. You told me that your wife helps the critically endangered animals. You told me that you had to put an IV in a monkey the day we were on the phone. What's it like having a mini zoo? She did. She's the boss woman. Okay.
You just held it down.
100%. Yeah, no doubt. I might be Goldberg, but I am nobody in my household. I'm behind Donkey Dinkus and Millie. I am, I swear to God.
What's it like having the mini zoo at your property?
You know, my wife's heart is so flipping big, man. It's cool. Gage will be home next week, and he didn't know that there was a monkey living in his closet, like literally. But
that's crazy.
Gage is only there, once in a blue moon, and you know what? It's so heartwarming. It's very satisfying, and it's also sad at the same time, because not every one of them make it. Right? We had we had a hyena, like it was a baby hyena, and these things, it's crazy. Hey, can you come check out the hyena? It's like, what? My wife says things that are the strangest. Can you come hand me the bottle for the giraffe? What? Like, who says that? Right? Yeah. But she's so selfless when it comes to these animals. It's unbelievable. It truly is. And, not many people would go to those lengths.
Sure.
Where do they come from? Like, is there
she works with a bunch of critically endangered exotic vets. Okay. So when the vet has a specific problem that they don't have the time for, or can devote the energy towards, then they pick up the phone and ask my wife to do it. And, wow. she's lucky enough to have, a wonderful place out here in the barn, and there's some sheep. It's hilarious, man. But it's really rewarding. It's her lifelong dream. She wanted to be a vet. She had a skunk as a kid, for God's sakes. And so,
what? Wait a minute now.
She grew up on a 600-acre grain farm in Saskatchewan, I think.
Wow.
And so she's always had an affinity for animals, and I have too, but just not monkeys and stuff. But
yeah,
it's a weird deal, man.
So
we used to go to Gage's baseball game with a monkey in a bag. I mean, kangaroo in a bag.
What?
Oh my God.
Just a little front pouch or
Swear to God. Yeah.
Is this mini zoo open to the public in any way?
Hell no.
yeah.
Hell no. Like I said, I almost killed a dude that stopped and parked on my grass that I mow every week, even though it's 200 acres. I do have control over it. And for some reason, the moron parked his car on our grass and got out and started feeding our animals through the fence.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot about that's a no-no. And
sure.
And let's just say he won't ever do it again.
He ain't coming back.
Nope. Not if he values his life.
I'm trying to think spear jackhammer, but
Neither.
Some worse.
Yeah. I got many other things that are more final than those.
That's awesome.
I'm just saying, man, I work my ass off, right?
Sure.
We all work for the things that we put up on that pedestal, right? Once you attain those, this is my kingdom, man.
Sure.
You don't come to my house unannounced, or you get
you get in trouble.
Neutered.
Yeah, you get in trouble.
Bad things might happen. Yeah.
Let's switch topics.
Yeah, man. So obviously we now know you have a lot of animals. Huge fans of Goldberg's Garage. What else do you collect?
Souls. No. I don't really collect. I mean, I have an extensive autograph, collectible kind of thing going on with. We got it. I don't know. There's a couple, right? The Howie Long stuff, and I probably got 500 jerseys and footballs and baseballs and all kind of stuff that when I was in the wrestling business, my assistant worked for TriStar, and TriStar's big. Well, you can vouch for that. And they would send me a list of who their special guests would be every weekend of their signings, and I just mark off what I wanted. And I got baseballs, footballs, and all kind of stuff like that. But the cars are my love. I got a show coming out. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's on Paramount Plus. It's called Carlectables, and it's badass. I mean, it's one of the coolest car shows I've ever done in my life, and that's what I really love to do. Really, really like it a lot.
So Justin and I, we had a little debate the other day. I'm a buyer and a seller. My dad's into sports memorabilia. Also a big Goldberg fan. And we were talking. And do you have more regret buying a car or getting rid of a car? What would come with more regret?
I don't have any regret buying them. Zero. I don't have any regret buying them.
Okay.
At all. Because if I pull the money out of my pocket and actually put it down for a car, it's going to be worth it 1,000%. I have a really big problem selling them. I really do, because I mean, I got cars that I've had 25 years here, 30 years. I've got a 1-of-1 Mustang that it's 1-of-1. Nobody in the world can have one like it. I don't care if you got $50 million or $100 million. You can't have that car because I got it. Now you can buy it from me if you give me 50 million, but
50 million.
But it's things like that I really cherish and appreciate, and it reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of simpler days.
Sure.
So I mean, I've sold probably 15 cars, 20 cars throughout the years, and I do regret, man. GT67 GT500. 1970 Cuda convertible 383 4-speed car that was just fabulous. A 70 Dodge Challenger that I blew up on the Elliott's runway and sold it for nothing, and now the car's worth like unbelievable amount of money. A Yanko 68 Yanko Camaro that they only made like 30 of, and in this color. And I mean, there's so many things that a Jaguar 67 series 1.5 XKE convertible V12 Jaguar that I paid like over $100,000 to restore, and I never even started it before I sold it.
Dang.
Oh, wow. Well, what made you sell it?
I couldn't fit.
Oh, you could fit in it. Oh, wow.
I couldn't fit.
Dang.
Yeah,
You was right though, X. You won.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to tell you that off camera. I win.
Yeah, you won. Anyway,
I mean, when you get rid of something and you want it back. Like, I have a hard time getting rid of stuff too, so I get it. There's many sports cards that I got rid of that my dad gave me, or I got from my grandpa, and I'm just like, man, I wish I had that back, So
That
I get it.
seller's remorse thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
ain't got no guilt buying stuff. Believe me.
got a little buyer's remorse
As you
right
can see,
now.
I don't either. So
No, man, that's awesome.
That's what's up. And I know you told me you're not the biggest fan of social media, but I felt like this story had to be brought up on the show. What is the story behind your Twitter getting hacked and the FBI? Let the people know.
It's funny because I've done all these podcasts since I got my Twitter back, and I haven't told this story once.
exclusive.
So, everybody knows I was on the Celebrity Apprentice, right? And I got fired. There's a backstory there too, but I don't hate Trump by any stretch of the imagination, right? I don't hate many people. There's a couple people that I should have been on that pig hunt with me last night. Man, I was hosting a show called Knife or Death, and it was on History Channel, and it was with a very good friend of mine named Tu Lamb, who's he was
a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a midget beast, but he is a beast. I would take that dude in a dark alley with Godzilla, because he'd shoot him, stab him, choke him. I don't know what he'd do, but he's on what's the name of the video game?
Call of Duty.
He was on the
He
cover
is
of
one of
Call
my
of Duty.
operator skins I play with all the time.
Oh yeah, he is the man, dude.
Yeah.
He is the man. Like in the real, like a real man thing.
Yeah.
I lived with him for 4 months doing this television show, and I learned everything about that dude. And he is a fine human being. He has been through absolute hell and back, and he grew exponentially during that show. And it was an honor and a privilege to be able to help him do that, because I don't care about being in front of the camera, and he did. And I just helped him out, man. And
yeah.
So long story short, I'm on the way to set. We're in Atlanta shooting the show, and I'm on the way to set, and I look down my phone, and Twitter, my account got hacked. I couldn't get in it, right? And so before I got it back, someone threatened to shoot President Trump from my account.
Oh.
Within, I don't know, 2 minutes, I got a phone call from the FBI. Right? So I'm not going to get into any more of that story. Let's just say that the email that they used to hack my account is what they hacked. And so I had no access to that email anymore. And when Twitter was started and all these other social media things may be the same way, you have to use your email, your original email, as your recovery device. Well, I didn't have access to it. So every time I tried to get a code or get a new password done, it would send it to the jerk who took my identity, right? So yeah, that was very interesting. So let's just say I haven't had use of my Twitter account since that show, and that was 6-7 years ago. And man, I got on the phone with this new company. They're called Storytellers, and they're out of LA. And within 15 minutes, this dude got my account back. He had me on the phone during the whole process, and I don't know what this guy does, like what he knows, but man, they're good. And as you can see, my Twitter and my Instagram have changed exponentially over the past 8 days. I don't know if you, whatever, but we're following it before, but I never post a wrestling. I never did. I post football stuff, but I mean, I'm weird about that. It's just a weird thing for me. I'm proud of it. I'm extremely proud of it because it made me the person that I am. Well, partially. But it's not something I'm it's not what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? By any means. But these guys understand it. And I did all my social media before, and I always wanted to speak in my own voice because I wanted my fans to know it was coming from me.
Yeah.
Still comes from me, but I just okay it. I don't develop it. I don't put subtitles on it. I don't do it. I don't cut it. I don't do nothing to it because my time, I could never learn enough to be good at social media compared to employing people who, why would I want to reinvent the wheel? These guys are pros, right? And I mean, over 8-day period, I got 15 million views or whatever. I mean, it's crazy what these guys do, whether it's algorithms or whether it's, there's another deer, and she's literally coming to the garage. Her name's Presley. She's fairly famous. She's called a Para-David deer. She's literally coming to the garage right now.
Shout out Presley.
Now,
I had animals. My final episode of Carlectables, my neighbor picked me up in a helicopter right in front of my garage, and Presley came to the helicopter as it was, as the rotors were turning.
Oh my God!
Unfazed.
Can you see her?
I see the sky. We got to go down.
We got to go down. Got to go down a little bit.
Oh God, there's two of them.
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Oh, there they go. You know the other. What's the other one's name? We got Presley
and Luna.
Presley and Luna. All these names.
But they're called Para-David deer. Para-Davids, and they're on the endangered list. And she's going to get the grain that's in the back of my 4-wheeler. That's awesome. Yeah, life on the Goldberg Ranch.
Well, do these animals? They're just such a wide variety. Do they have access to each other? Do they get into it? Are there scuffles?
Oh no, you got to keep certain ones away from other ones. Like our zebra is with the horses, and if that was running wild, I wouldn't have need to done that pig hunt last night because it would kill just about everything around here.
Oh yeah.
The kangaroos can't coexist with the others. There are some that obviously don't like others, but for the most part, yeah, man, it's an all-inclusive place here at the Goldberg Ranch. Oh God, kill me.
Yeah. Well,
but
you mentioned the Paul Crew jersey, and meeting Burt Reynolds. Was there any other like favorite memories while filming The Longest Yard? Because that cast was insane.
It was insane. It was awesome. The best part for me is that I got to play football again. I was the only actor that freaking did everything, except Nelly almost did everything too. And that's another one. Nelly is fast. When I was chasing him down the sidelines, that was full blown. And I was trying to catch him, and I was trying to kill him. And he was unbelievable, man. What a great dude, and what an athletic dude. And Terry Crews, and there were so many people on there that were it was just an absolute honor and a privilege to be a part of it. I mean, there was only one football scene that I didn't play in, and I was at Sturgis, South Dakota for the motorcycle rally, and I had that in my contract that I had to be gone for that week, or I got to be gone for that week. And I didn't run down on one kickoff. That was it. But I played everything. It was a dream for me. I got to play football again.
That's awesome.
It was really awesome. I loved it. It was the coolest experience. One of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Yeah. There was a lot of bullies in that movie, and me and Xavier have been talking lately. There's so much inspiration that you can get out of the world and put into the world, and it's been put on record that it's crazy to believe that you were bullied as a kid. And I'm
Jewish, man, right? You guys are black. You felt it, right? I mean, it's
I live in Alabama. I still feel it.
Yeah, we in Alabama.
Exactly. I mean, hey, look at the world right now with the anti-Semitism. Look at college campuses. Look at everybody pointing fingers at everybody when all they got to do is just look who the person is and learn who they are inside. Color makes no difference. And the best thing about sports is that it makes everyone the same freaking color. And I don't care if you're green, black, purple, or orange. If you got my back and you're right next to me, dude, I got you to the end of the earth. And that's the beauty of sports. And every single human being should play sports just to learn that, we're all equal, man. And yeah, I got bullied, and then until I turned it on, and I became the I don't know what I became, but I tell you what, I stood up and I became Goldberg in the wrestling ring for all the little Jewish kids who had to grow up and deal with stuff like that. I gave them someone to look up to that wasn't a lawyer or, somebody that's not in a physically dominating sport. And I just tried to set a positive example, as I try to do every day. But it's tough, man. It's tough in today's world when people always have an issue with everybody for something, man. It's finger pointing, and it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Gage had 2 black kids on his football team in high school, right? Ooh. And now look at him. Do you think that was an issue for him? He don't care. If you're a dude, you're a dude. Yeah. It doesn't matter, man. It really doesn't. And like I say, the sports is the one thing that taught me that more so than anything. It's an unwritten rule. And like I say, everybody should experience it, because when you're leaning on your brother or sister that's next to you, it doesn't matter what they look like. It really doesn't. It just matters that they got your back, and if they got a good heart, and if they treat people the way they want to be treated. And there are a lot of lessons to be learned on a sports field.
Yeah,
that's true.
Speaking of black players, I saw a shirt. I went to a couple games last season at CU, and it was the shirt that said HBCU on it. And I said, only Coach Prime could bring that out. I was like, this is amazing.
It's hilarious. I love Deion to death, man. And like I said, I carried his bags, and I carried them willingly. And, he'll tell you that he told the story the first time I showed up at CU with my son. I think the last play of my NFL career, we were playing Kansas City, and he caught a punt and jogged out of bounds, and he got flattened by somebody. And I came from the other side of the sideline, and I hit the dude over the head with my helmet. I went after him, man. And I got fined $10,000, which was $10,000 more than I made that week. And he was making like $1 million a week. But that showed the color has no barrier, man. What did Deion want from me? I was on the developmental squad half the season. He was a guaranteed deal, man. He was Deion freaking Sanders. If he wasn't a good human being, he would have had nothing to do with me, because I ain't got nothing for him. But I did, because I like to think that we saw eye to eye in a lot of different things. And, the most important thing is treating people how you want to be treated.
Yeah. Coach Prime, Deion won his 10K back, or Goldberg won his 10K back.
Yeah, you owe him 10 grand.
All good. Just give it to my son in an NIL.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Hey, man. Well, we are going to respect your time. Last question that we have. You are our first guest. We're honored to have you. So just in general, but definitely so early in our beginning stages of this show, who in the wrestling world should we have on the show next?
It depends on what you want. It depends on what you want. Do you want fanfare? Do you want wisdom? Do you want old stories? You got to be specific, man. Dallas Page, Kevin Nash, and Sting are 3 guys that were integral in my career. But you look at kids these days, and have one of the newer generation on. But I mean,
yeah.
Have Ernest Miller on. Ernest was a big inspiration to me. Have Booker T on. Booker's great. There's a plethora of people. There really are. But I mean, unless it's a wrestling centric podcast, I'd go professional athlete route more so than anything, because you get so many diverse people that have so many diverse stories, and it's real life, it's real life.
We love the athlete side. We try to keep it away. When I first met you, I told you about my own personal podcast, Stuck in My Thoughts, Stuck in My Thoughts. But Mic Check Mania, we're definitely focused towards the wrestlers. Now, wrestling athletes, holla at me for Stuck in My Thoughts. But we want to.
Here's who I get. Not to interrupt you. Get Eli. Holifield's son.
Elijah. He's on
Elijah.
LFG.
Elijah.
Yeah, they're in the show they've got going on now.
Yep.
Into
Get
that.
him.
Yeah. That's not a bad one at all. But I do like that
That's
you
a
said.
great one. That's a
Yeah.
great one. He's a good kid.
Mhm.
And he's following the footsteps of guys like me who transition, get Breaker, get Steiner's kid,
Mhm.
he was with the Ravens for a really short period of time, I think.
Okay.
I remember talking to him about football when he was playing in college. Short time in the pro. Man, the kid ran a 4.3.
He run them ropes fast. I knew he was fast.
Where do you
Lord
think
have
it
mercy.
came from?
That speed.
He was I think he was linebacker or a fullback or something, but that kid could scoot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What could you run the 40 in?
Shit. Best I ever did was 4.79.
And
But I
still
was
moving though at your size.
Yeah.
I was I think I don't know, I was 270 my senior year or something like that. I don't know, man. I was crazy on the football field.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Xavier, close us out, man.
Yeah, well, I just want to speak to one thing before we go. I did appreciate you said DDP because that dude is doing some amazing things for people with his yoga. He's rehabbing people and getting them like a new stint at life, and I just love what he's doing. So shout out to DDP for sure. So
DDP was one of the first wrestlers I ever met, right? And we saw each other in nightclubs when I was playing for the University of Georgia. We would go to Atlanta, and Dallas was with WCW, and that was in Atlanta, and we would cross paths all the time. And let's just say that where Dallas is right now and what he's doing for people is not a surprise for anybody that knows him and that knew him back in the day. He likes helping people, man. He really does. And, we all do to an extent, but Dallas, I mean, I faked an injury when he wanted to come to my house and do that DDP yoga stuff, but
he said, "I'm not having it."
Goldberg ain't yoga or nothing. But I need it now. But he was a very positive influence on me, no question.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We again appreciate your time. Thank you for being a part of Mic Check Mania, our very first interview. We're gonna circle back for our 100th interview, so hopefully save us a time slot then. But thank you so much for being a part of the Mic Check Mania.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure, and all I have to say is good freaking luck topping your first episode.
Love it.
Like that.
Love it.
This is Goldberg, and you're watching Mic Check Mania. Tune it in, or your ass is next.